the current surge of interest in the shooting sports is unprecedented. In fact, a recent poll or survey shows that there's an enormous increase in interest in shooting sports. And what's interesting is that the majority of people who are getting into the shooting sports are, number one, starting their interest at age 18, 19, 20, in that range up there. There's a lot of women who are getting interested in the shooting sports, and they're not getting interested in the shooting sports to go hunting necessarily, but rather for sport shooting, recreational shooting, and of course, self-defense. So for those folks just getting into the shooting sports who maybe didn't have the luxury of having a father or a grandfather, uncles, whatever, to kind of indoctrinate them and get them into the sport and kind of teach them some stuff, I'm making this video to make the purchase of your first gun a lot less scary and a lot more fun. So firearms are a fantastic sport. I've been handling and shooting guns and hunting since I was about 11 or 12 years old, after having gone through hunter education where I grew up. And that initiation, the education, is extremely important. So I'm going to recommend that as a first step. If you're getting interested in gun ownership, getting interested in shooting and the shooting sports, very first thing you got to do is get some education. And locally, you're probably going to have, anywhere across the United States, you're probably going to have access to hunter education classes, usually offered by a Department of Natural Resources, Fish and Game, those sorts of things. Now those things, of course, are going to talk a lot about hunting and hunting laws and that sort of stuff, but they're going to spend an awful lot of time on safe gun handling. And that's a great way to do it, very inexpensive way to get started. Safety is job one. No two ways about it. Shooting sports are not going to be any fun if you're worried about being safe or if it's not safe out there. So safety, incredibly important. I can't stress that enough. If you're safe and it becomes an absolute habit with you to be safe, then you're going to have an entire lifetime, the rest of your lifetime, enjoying the shooting sports. So let's say then you've gotten some education, you know some things about guns, you know how to handle them safely, and so you're thinking, yep, I'm still thinking I would love to get myself my own gun, my own firearm. So the largest segment of firearm sales that's been growing in recent times has been the semi-automatic pistols and semi-automatic rifles. And in fact, the biggest segment there is in the pistol sales. So what we're going to talk about today is shopping for your own or your first semi-automatic pistol. Now, a semi-automatic pistol or a pistol is a handgun. There's two really different types of handguns. There's a revolver and there is pistols. Pistols are usually kind of a short-term, shorthand name for semi-automatic handgun, semi-automatic pistols. So I've got a couple of them over here on the bench we'll take a look at. Okay, the first one right over here, this is an FNx, FNH USA has made this gun. Of course, when I first picked this gun up, we're opening up the action, double checking the action inside here to make sure this gun is empty, and that is an automatic thing for you. Should be automatic, should become habitual for you. You go to a gun shop, typically if you want to see a gun like this, you see it under the glass counter, you see it on the display case, and you'll ask the retailer, hey, could I take a look at that pistol right there? Now you may not even be able to read the name of it if you're not too familiar with it. And you can just say, okay, the second one from the left over here, whatever it happens to be. And that retailer will take it out of the case, and typically they're going to hand it to you like this. It is open, they're going to take a look at it, and then they're going to hand it to you in this status right like this. It's open. So you're going to pick it up. I like to drop the mag on it, and I'll set the mag aside. Take a look at it here. And then usually what I'll do is however you want to grasp it. Now this one has serrations in both the front and the rear, and so you can grab it in either way. And typically what you're going to do then is you're going to push it back just a little bit, which will tend to release it because I've got the mag out of it. It'll just release it. And now what you can do is you can get a better feel for it. How comfortable is this gun in your hand? How does it feel for you? And that's a huge thing with gun ownership, especially handguns, because you know, they gotta feel good. They gotta fit you nice if you're going to be able to shoot these things comfortably and accurately and reliably. So right now, of course, this hammer is cocked, and if we want to decock it, this individual pistol has what's called a decocker mechanism on it. And so just by bringing this down, and everything's ambidextrous on this, just by dropping this thing here, I activate the decocker, and always remember to point the muzzle in a safe direction. So this is a safe direction. I can go ahead and decock it. Okay, now it's not firing it. Okay, that was a decocker mechanism, so that's just fine. Now, not all pistols have a decocker. Some people don't like decockers, other people like them. On this gun, I think a decocker is nice, and I've got other pistols that do not have decockers on them. You just got to get used to the individual gun. So this one has some serrations on the very front of the trigger guard, so your offhand can actually help balance it that way. Okay, while this finger goes into the trigger guard, and it's going to end up squeezing the trigger for you. On this back side over here, and since this is ambidextrous, it's on both sides. When you bring this thing back, you can push up on this to lock it back. Okay, and again, you're going to inspect it. If it's handed to you closed, you're going to want to inspect it to make sure it is unloaded. And then what you're going to want to do, okay, I'm decocking it again. Then what you're going to want to do is look at something in that gun shop, in that sports shop, focus on it, and make sure that it's a safe target, okay? And then what you're simply going to do is point, right? Just point that gun and see how naturally that gun and you align, right? So that you can acquire that target. Some pistols you're going to be like, geez, I got to fiddle with this forever. Okay, there it is. And others, it's going to feel pretty good. You know, this one feels pretty good to me. It's very, very light. And this is a polymer frame 9mm pistol. Polymer frame means the frame itself, this part down here, is made out of a polymer, a plastic if you want to call it that. And all the stuff up here is steel. Everything else is steel. The barrel's steel, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that is a 9mm Luger FNx. Very nice pistol, kind of a subcompact almost, this type of pistol right here. Another one you might be interested in is something like this. This is a CZ-75B, the world famous CZ-75. And again, you're going to receive it like this from the gun shop. I like to drop the mag, set it aside, and then I'm going to take a look at this thing. Again, I'm double checking, triple checking that it's empty, and riding that forward. Now this does not have a decocker on it, so to decock it, I am going to hold this and squeeze the trigger, and then it goes forward. Okay. Now the CZ-75 is built just a little bit differently than that 9mm FNx, in that the way that you cock the CZ-75s is to use what's called the slingshot method. So the serrations are none up here, serrations are only back here. What you do is you tend to push it out, grab hold of those serrations, and like a slingshot, you pull it right back. Okay? So just like this. Okay, the slingshot method. And again, you're going to have this button. It's not everything's not ambidextrous on this one. When it gets back, you're going to push this up with the thumb and lock back that action. So here we go. Okay, then it's locked back again. Okay, so double check, make sure that thing is empty. Okay, we're going to ride it forward. Now it's cocked. Safety's on. Safety's off. Safety's on. Okay, and then what you're going to do is do that same thing. Okay, it's got the serrations on the front, and let's give a feel for this one. Okay, and find a place that's a safe target to point to at the gun shop. Get a feel for it. Okay, how does it feel in your hands? This one's quite a bit heavier than that polymer frame FNx. You may not like that sort of thing. Again, if you're going to release this trigger, and you can get a feel for the trigger squeeze doing it this way, and you'll feel when it releases. Okay, there we go. Now the third pistol that we have here, this is one of my favorites. I love this 1911 Springfield Armory. It's a great gun, extremely accurate. Again, I'm dumping the mag out of it here, setting it aside, and if I'm looking at a 1911 in that display case and I ask to see it, again, you're going to see it just like this handed to you. Take a look inside, make sure it is empty, and then what we're going to do is we're going to ride her forward. Now on some of these guns, like this one right here, this has got a trophy called Trophy Match Barrel in it, and if you let this thing slam forward, that's not great for the barrel. And the people in the gun shops might not appreciate you letting it slam forward. They just won't appreciate that. So let it ride forward like that in the gun shops. Now a couple of things on this one. First of all, it's way heavier than either of those two guns, so you may not appreciate that weight. It's also physically larger. And a couple of nice things though about that is, number one, that extra weight is going to absorb recoil and let you get back on target faster than a lighter gun. Now this is a 45 ACP. You can also get these made in 9mm if you like that. You can certainly get the 9mm caliber in a 1911. That's kind of a sweet deal that way. This has got a lot of ambidextrous features. There's the safety. You can see it going up right here. Okay, this is the thumb safety. And then there's another safety right here. This gun's got a couple of safeties built into it, and so it's a very, very safe gun to have around. This one right here has got adjustable rear sights. Do you want or do you need adjustable rear sights? If you could do some competition type of shooting, probably going to want that sort of thing, so you can tune this gun to the load that you're using. In other cases, probably not going to be that important that you have adjustable rear sights. So anyway, the same type of deal here. We're going to get a feel for the trigger. So again, I put my finger here now, very carefully. I'm going to squeeze this, and then there it goes. And this has got a pretty light, very, very nice trigger on it. Again, there's serrations on the front and rear. Not all 1911s have that. I like that. I like to grasp it here, and I ride my thumb over here, and then this thumb pushes up on this mechanism here to lock the rail back. So there you go, a couple of quick tips on shopping for your first semi-automatic pistol, and hopefully this is helpful for you, and wish you the best of luck finding your first gun, going out and shooting it, having a whole lot of fun safely.
So let me recap. When you're looking for your first gun, here's some things you're going to want to consider, kind of in this order too. Number one, safety, education, and training. Learn how to safely handle a firearm, get some education, get some training. Secondly, think about your gun's purpose. What do you really want it for? Third, find a gun that is comfortable to you. Now, the only way you're going to know that gun A is more comfortable to you than gun B is by handling a lot of different guns. And here's something that you may not even have considered. Look for some of these indoor shooting ranges or local shooting ranges. Some of those may have guns that you can rent. You might be interested in an FNx or a Springfield Armory or a Glock, anything like that. And well, if you go to one of these places, you might be able to rent one of those guns for a mag, 50 rounds, an hour, whatever it is, and it's going to vary on that individual indoor range or that range. But that's a great way to get a feel for that gun. It might feel good just in your hands, and then when you feel the recoil, the way it acts from shot to shot, not so good. So that's like a little diamond, little gem right there to kind of take home and really consider. Try to find something like that. The other thing you might find is, hey, I really like this light gun, but based on your build, your stature, you might have what they kind of call limp wrist, where your wrists may not be strong enough to allow that very light gun to cycle correctly. And I've seen some kind of smaller statured or younger people firing, let's say that FNx 9mm, very light gun, and it won't cycle correctly for them because their wrists aren't strong enough. I've never seen that on the heavier guns because that's just not an issue on a little bit heavier gun. Something else to consider right there. The last thing that you're going to want to do is when you get that gun, you got to go out and practice. Not only is it terrifically fun, but if you're going to use it for self-defense or even just competition, you want to be good with it, well, you're going to have to practice with that gun. And if you want to be really good with it, take some more training classes to learn how to better shoot and better handle the gun that you've chosen.